How about the temperature here? How do I know it's gotten drier and hotter? We're at 300 meters elevation here.
The orange peels are basically a lot of compost.
And save the pieces of forest that still remain.
So that what happens to them impacts a very large number of people.
Doing things with that piece of forest once you've bought it.
12,000 tons of orange peels were dumped in a lush forest, leaving behind a sea of bright orange in what once was untouched wilderness. It was a bold experiment in Costa Rica's Guanacaste conservation area, one that seemed reckless and strange at the time. For years, no one dared to return to see the consequences of this act. Did it harm the animals or somehow help them instead? Tune in as we uncover what happened when they finally came back to see the results and what they found changed the country's policies forever. Orange peels saved the land. But this wasn't just random chaos. There were actually two ecologists behind all of this. Daniel Jansen and Winnie Hallwachs. They had this crazy idea that those orange peels might do something amazing for the land. You see, many years before this whole mess started, parts of Costa Rica's beautiful forests were converted into cattle pastures. Over time, those pastures had dried up and turned into pretty sad, empty pieces of land. Jansen and Hallwachs, who both worked as researchers and advisors at the conservation area, wanted to bring these old pastures back to life. They'd been working in Costa Rica for years and had fallen in love with the country's incredible biodiversity.
Tropical ecosystems are, in fact, much more endangered.
Even though they'd both graduated from Princeton in the mid-70s and were working at the University of Pennsylvania, their hearts remained in Costa Rica. Before we delve into this, it's clear that what happened to the land after the orange peels were dumped is far more incredible than anyone could have imagined, and it's not the only surprise waiting for you. When Del Oro, an orange juice company, set up shop close to the conservation area in the mid-90s, the couple saw an opportunity. Del Oro had a major waste problem. After squeezing out all the juice, they were left with mountains of orange peels and pulp, tons of it every single day. Disposing of it was not only costly, but also a headache. Jansen and Hallwachs had an idea. Why not dump all those orange peels in the conservation area? It sounded pretty out there, and to many it looked like a disaster waiting to happen. After all, wouldn't dumping thousands of tons of fruit waste just make things worse for the environment? But these ecologists knew something important. When organic waste like orange peels breaks down, it enriches the soil with nutrients that are essential for plant growth. So the couple made a deal with Del Oro. The juice company could dump their orange peels in certain areas of the conservation land, but there were rules. Only natural waste, like orange peels and pulp, could be dumped. No chemicals allowed. The peels also had to be cleaned of any limonene, which is a natural compound found in oranges that can stop plant growth.
And regenerate the forest on that farmland. And that saves everything.
By removing it, the peels could actually help plants instead of harming them. Del Oro agreed, and soon the trucks started arriving. They brought in 1,000 truckloads a year, totaling about 12,000 tons of orange waste. Imagine an entire football stadium filled with orange peels. In 1998, the dumping began. The once quiet clearing in the conservation area quickly transformed. Orange peels were scattered everywhere, creating an overwhelming citrus smell. People passing by didn't know what to make of it. To them, it looked like a dump, not a conservation project. Many complained about the smell, and the sight wasn't exactly pretty either. It was just a huge, sticky mess. But Jansen and Hallwachs were patient. They knew that nature needed time to work its magic. For a while, things were going well. The orange peels began to decompose, and little green plants started to poke through the sticky mess. It seemed like their experiment might just be working. However, it wasn't long before trouble showed up. Another juice company called Tico Fruit got wind of what Del Oro was doing, and they weren't happy. They had to spend a lot of money to get rid of their own orange waste, and they didn't think it was fair that Del Oro was allowed to dump theirs for free. Tico Fruit decided to fight back. They launched a big campaign against the project, buying ads in newspapers and on TV, showing pictures of the orange peel piles and calling them mountains of rotting waste. They claimed the peels were attracting pests and making people sick. Their campaign stirred up a lot of anger. Local farmers were worried that fruit flies from the orange peels would damage their crops, and environmental groups started asking questions. Even though there was no evidence that the peels were causing any harm, the fear was enough to push things into court. The experiment faced strong opposition, leading to a court fight that could stop everything before it had a chance to succeed. The peel fight that stopped it all. Tico Fruit took their complaints all the way to Costa Rica's Supreme Court. They argued that dumping waste in a conservation area, even if it was just fruit peels, was illegal. They also said the deal between Del Oro and the conservation area wasn't fair to other companies and might set a dangerous precedent for other businesses to start dumping their waste in protected areas. The court battle went on for months, and during this time, about 12,000 tons of orange peels had already been dumped, covering an area as big as 3 football fields. Finally, the Supreme Court made its decision. They ruled against the project. Even though the judges acknowledged that the project could help the environment, they were worried about the example it set. They didn't want other companies using it as an excuse to dump different kinds of waste in protected areas.
And migrate over to the other side of Costa Rica, rainforest. I have a generation over there.
The court's decision was a huge blow to Jansen and Hallwachs. They had to stop the project immediately, leaving the orange peel site as it was. Over time, people forgot about the experiment and the site became overgrown. The area was left untouched for years, and it soon faded into obscurity, becoming almost like a legend among ecologists. Some people claimed the project had been a disaster, while others said it had worked wonders for the land. But no one really knew for sure what had happened. 16 years later, in 2014, a group of researchers from Princeton University decided to revisit the site. They had heard about the old orange peel experiment and wanted to see what had become of it. Led by a young scientist named Timothy Truer, they set out for Costa Rica to find the old dumping ground. It wasn't easy. The landscape had changed so much over the years that finding the exact spot was a real challenge. They spent days searching, using old maps and GPS coordinates to guide them. Finally, they found it. But what they discovered was beyond anything they could have imagined. Instead of a barren field full of rotting orange peels, they found themselves in the middle of a lush, thriving forest. The transformation was incredible. The old dumping ground had turned into a dense green paradise, filled with tall trees, thick undergrowth, and all kinds of wildlife. The team was stunned. They had expected to find some signs of the old experiment, maybe a few peels left behind or some evidence of the dumping. But there was nothing. The peels were completely gone, replaced by a vibrant ecosystem. To prove what they were seeing, the researchers decided to gather data. They took soil samples and measured the trees in the area. They also compared the orange peel site to a nearby area that hadn't been treated with peels. The difference was staggering. The soil in the orange peel area was packed with nutrients, and the forest was much denser. There were 176% more plant species in the orange peel area compared to the untreated land. They found huge fig trees, thick underbrush, and even animals that usually avoided open grasslands, like the tyra, a large forest weasel. The results were clear. The orange peels had worked. They had transformed a dry, degraded pasture into a thriving forest. The researchers published their findings, and the news spread quickly through the scientific community. Many were amazed by the results. Here was proof that agricultural waste, which usually costs money to dispose of, could be used to help restore damaged ecosystems. It was a win-win. The juice company got rid of its waste for free, and the environment benefited. Of course, not everyone was convinced. Some scientists questioned whether the forest would have grown back on its own even without the orange peels.
In the old days, I could win a case of beer by betting the first rain would be the 15th of May.
But the Princeton team had a simple answer. They just pointed to the land next to the orange peel site. Both areas had started out the same, with the same climate, weather, and conditions. The only difference was the orange peels, and after 16 years, the difference between the two areas was impossible to ignore. The success of the Orange Peel Project has inspired others to think about how we can use food waste to help the environment. Some researchers are looking into turning orange peels into biofuel, while others are exploring ways to make biodegradable plastics from fruit waste. Companies are starting to see the potential too, using their waste to help the environment instead of just throwing it away. It's a new way of thinking about waste, not as a problem to get rid of, but as a resource that can be used for good. Many years later, the forgotten site was found again, and what had happened there amazed everyone. A dump becomes a jungle. Of course, it's important to remember that what worked in Costa Rica might not work everywhere. The warm, wet climate of Costa Rica helped the forest grow quickly. In colder or drier climates, the process might be much slower, or it might not work at all. And dumping any kind of waste, even natural waste, needs to be done carefully, with the right scientific oversight to make sure it doesn't do more harm than good. For Jansen and Hallwachs, the outcome of their experiment was bittersweet. They never got to see the full results of their work, but in the end, their idea was proven right. Their creative thinking turned a problem, too much orange waste, into a solution for restoring degraded land. The thriving forest that grew from those orange peels is a testament to what can happen when we think outside the box and work with nature instead of against it. The story of the orange peel forest is a reminder that sometimes the answers to our biggest environmental challenges can come from the most unexpected places. It challenges us to rethink what we consider waste and to look for opportunities to turn our problems into solutions. Who knows? Maybe the next time you eat an orange, you'll think twice before throwing away the peel. It might just be the start of something amazing. Over the following weeks, the Princeton team did more than just gather samples. They conducted an exhaustive survey of the entire area to understand how the forest's ecosystem had developed and what role the orange peels had played in it.
Outside of the tropics, ecosystems are comparatively quite robust, quite tough.
Timothy Truer and his team decided to measure the health of the soil, the types of vegetation present, the density of animal species, and the overall condition of the reforested area. Each member of the research group played a part in detailing every observation. From morning till late afternoon, they took measurements, logged data, and collected samples, sometimes crawling on their knees to observe minute changes in plant growth. The team was meticulous. They marked different zones in the area to compare how the land had changed in various parts of the orange peel site. They set up study plots, small, defined areas where they could observe, document, and analyze the ecological development in detail. These study plots gave them insights into the variations in plant growth and soil composition across the experimental site. The more they analyzed, the more they realized that the nutrients from the orange peels had transformed the barren soil into rich, loamy earth that allowed for a diverse ecosystem to thrive. The data they gathered spoke volumes. The old cattle pasture, which had been compacted and devoid of any significant plant life, now had soil teeming with organic matter and minerals that helped the plants grow strong. The orange peels had essentially revived the land, boosting the number of soil organisms like worms and microbes, which further helped break down organic matter and aerate the soil. This enrichment of the soil was crucial for allowing the dense, verdant vegetation to take hold and spread. Another significant outcome that Truer and his team observed was the return of a variety of fauna. Costa Rica is known for its biodiversity, and the newly reforested area was no exception. The once dry, barren landscape was now home to countless insects, small mammals, birds, and even some larger animals like deer and the tyra, which had returned in search of food and shelter. Birds nested in the trees, and small mammals scurried about, finding the environment suitable for their survival. The team set up motion-activated cameras to capture images of these animals as they moved through the area. The recording showed that the ecosystem was indeed thriving. The thick undergrowth that had sprung up was also playing a role in water retention. Truer and his colleagues measured moisture levels in the soil and compared them to untreated areas. The results were once again staggering. The orange peel forest held significantly more moisture than the land next door, where no peels had been dumped. The thick layer of decomposed peels had acted as a sponge, retaining rainwater and slowly releasing it into the ground.
They need big area to support the animals and the plants that are there,
which not only helped plants survive, but also prevented the soil from drying out and eroding. This water retention was particularly important because it helped maintain the health of the young trees that had started growing soon after the peels were dumped. Without consistent moisture, young trees can easily die, especially in degraded areas with poor soil. But in the orange peel zone, the thick layer of nutrients combined with the improved water retention gave the new vegetation an ideal environment in which to grow. The trees that had taken root were now towering above the researchers, creating a thick canopy that blocked out sunlight and allowed the forest floor to develop into a rich, thriving habitat. As the forest grew back stronger, the Orange Peel Project sparked new ideas for helping damaged land heal. Life grew from rotting peels. One of the more surprising discoveries was the diversity of tree species. Over 20 different types of trees were found within the experimental area, including species that were not even present before the experiment began. The researchers speculated that birds and animals had brought in seeds from other areas, and the nutrient-rich soil provided the perfect conditions for these seeds to grow. In contrast, the untreated areas nearby had far fewer species, and the trees there were smaller and less healthy. The story of this project is one of resilience and adaptation, both by nature and by the people involved. For Jansen and Hallwachs, it was validation of an idea they had championed for years. They had faced resistance and criticism, and ultimately their work had been halted.
To the particular sociology of the place, the particular biology of the place.
But the natural world has a way of continuing even when human plans are disrupted. The orange peels they had dumped were not wasted, instead they were transformed into a gift for the forest. Imagine applying similar techniques to other degraded landscapes around the world. The success of the orange peel experiment could be replicated in other tropical regions where soil health has been compromised due to deforestation, agriculture, or other human activities. By turning food waste into a valuable resource, we could help tackle multiple environmental problems at once, reducing the amount of waste going to landfills, restoring degraded ecosystems, and sequestering carbon by encouraging the growth of new forests. In many ways, this experiment also highlights the importance of thinking creatively when it comes to solving environmental problems. Jansen and Hallwachs saw an opportunity where others saw waste. They understood the nutrient cycle and how organic matter could be used to enrich the soil. Their willingness to think outside the box and take a risk resulted in an incredible transformation that no one could have predicted. It's a lesson for all of us to look at problems from different angles and to consider how the solutions might lie in unexpected places. Of course, as with any environmental intervention, there are risks. Not all food waste is suitable for dumping in a natural area, and the conditions have to be just right for it to work. In Costa Rica, the warm, humid climate helped the orange peels break down quickly and provided the perfect conditions for plant growth. In other places, the results might be very different. Cold or dry climates might not see the same level of success, and there could be unintended consequences if the waste doesn't break down properly or if it introduces pests or diseases. That's why it's so important to have careful planning and scientific oversight when attempting something like this. Looking ahead, the success of the Orange Peel Project raises important questions about how we manage our natural resources and how we can work with nature to achieve our conservation goals. It's easy to feel overwhelmed by the scale of the environmental challenges we face today. Deforestation, climate change, biodiversity loss, but stories like this remind us that positive change is possible. By working with the natural processes that have evolved over millions of years, we can find solutions that are both effective and sustainable. The lessons learned from this experiment are also a testament to the power of collaboration. This wasn't just the work of Jansen and Hallwachs. It involved a juice company willing to try something new, local conservation groups that provided support, and years later, a team of young scientists from Princeton who were curious enough to follow up. It shows that when different groups come together with a shared goal, they can accomplish incredible things. In the end, the story of the orange peel forest is about hope. It's about believing that, even in the face of challenges, there is a way forward. It's about recognizing that nature is resilient and that with a little help, it can heal. And it's about understanding that the solutions to our environmental problems might not always be high-tech or complicated. They might be as simple as a pile of orange peels left to rot in the sun. The next time you look at a piece of food waste, think about what it could become. Could it be more than just trash? Could it be the start of something new, something that brings life to a barren place and provides a home for plants and animals? The orange peel experiment challenges us all to think differently about the world around us and to see the potential for growth and renewal in even the most unlikely places.
My opinion is to go for making a few big pieces.
Nature has a remarkable ability to heal itself, and when we give it the right tools, it can accomplish things that seem almost magical. The orange peel forest is just one example of what can happen when we work with nature instead of against it. There is so much potential out there, so many opportunities to restore what has been lost, to bring back the forest, the animals, the life that has been stripped away. All it takes is a little creativity, a willingness to take risks, and an understanding that sometimes the best way to help is simply to let nature do its thing. Could dumping orange peels in a forest be the key to saving ecosystems, or is it a reckless gamble with nature's balance? Tell us your thoughts and remember to like and subscribe for more.